100 years ago, countless spatial rifts opened up above Earth, and fierce dimensional beasts invaded the planet, threatening humanity's survival. However, the dimensional energy also stimulated humanity's talents, and a small number of humans awakened it, leading mankind into the era of talents. Our main protagonist, Ye Tian, has just awakened his talent, but unfortunately, it is weak tier. He worries if he'll ever become a martial warrior and protects his sister. His sister Ye Yu asks him how his evaluation went, which he lies saying it went well and he will become a martial warrior. Hearing her brother's supposed success, she jumps in joy and tells him to celebrate with her. Suddenly, a system pops up revealing Ye Yu's stats, and when she grabs his arm, the pop-up changes asking for permission to copy her talent. Although he realizes that his situation is not hopeless anymore, he doesn't want to use it on his sister. Afterwards, he goes outside to look for talents but only finds low-tier ones, so he decides to enter a talent academy. But copying a talent means his own talent will change over time. Thus he enters Linhai Base 5th Academy, where talent evaluations aren't necessary, and many people with mid-tier talents are present. On the first day of class, the teacher was teaching a body training technique that required creating a vortex in front of the chest. Many students passed out, but Ye Tian, who had weak talent, couldn't even create one. The teacher ignored the unconscious students and tells them to follow the example of Chen Dong. After class, Ye Tian asked his friend Zhang Bao about the identity of Chen Dong, to which he informed him that Chen Dong had become a martial apprentice and the principal's disciple in just half a month. While they were conversing, Chen Dong arrived, and everyone started asking for his autograph. After analyzing Chen Dong's talent, Ye Tian saw it as a perfect opportunity to copy it. But in order to do that, he needed to have physical contact with an awakened. So instead of asking for an autograph, he requested a handshake from Chen Dong, to which he agreed. The handshake resulted in Ye Tian copying Chen Dong's talent. Later he went to an isolated place, then a system popped up asking if he would like to fuse his talent with the one he had copied. Ye Tian accepted, and felt immense pain during the process, and after completion, another system popped up, stating a 30-day cooldown period. Ye Tian was shocked as he thought he could only use it once, but now he can use it every 30 days after utilizing it. He then attempted the body training technique taught by the teacher earlier. This time he was able to instantly create a vortex unlike before. Realizing the potential of his newfound ability, Ye Tian aspired to become a great martial warrior, instead of just a martial warrior. 1 month later, as he's walking in the street at night, he suddenly feels a presence behind him. After turning around, he sees that the father and daughter he passed by were attacked by a big white wolf, and the father died. The girl was about to be attacked, however Ye Tian saves her just in time. But the wolf is too fast and it almost catches up. Suddenly a man in a red cape arrives and rescues both of them. The guy introduces himself as Captain Windwolf and tells Ye Tian to take the girl to safety. He then engages in a fierce battle with the wolf. Realizing that he can't defeat it alone, he calls out to his teammates, who descend from above. Seeing that the wolf tries to run, but is caught, and receives a fatal blow. But this wasn't enough, as it unleashes all of its power and attempts to escape once more. Just in time, an archer hidden on the roof shoots the wolf, which causes it to collapse. As Ye Tian stares at the wolf's body, a system notification pops up, revealing its stat, including the speed talent being at a novice tier. As the wolf starts to rise again, Captain Windwolf and his teammates retreat, realizing the danger. While Ye Tian sees this as a perfect opportunity to copy a speed talent and rushes towards it. He throws himself into the air and lands on its back, relentlessly punching it, and receives numerous notifications indicating his success. Captain Windwolf stops him and informs him that the wolf has already died. He then instructs his subordinates to clean up the place and take care of the little girl. Before leaving, he praises Ye Tian and invites him to join them when he becomes a martial warrior. Ye Tian accepts and heads home, but before that he washes the blood off his clothes, as his sister might worry if she were to see that. Upon arriving home, he goes to his room and locks the door. He is unsure whether to fuse his talent with the monsters, as it can be more painful and even life-threatening. But he decides to proceed with it anyway. During the process, he felt pain equivalent to all the bones in his body breaking, and even his leg bent all the way. Unable to bear the pain, he faints, and when he wakes up, he finds his body in perfect condition, and the talent fusion was successful. He then went to a mountain where he tried out his new speed talent, and every time he moved, lightning generated from his body. After the test was done, he started cultivating. Although his speed was comparable to that of a martial warrior, his strength was still lacking. As he was thinking where he could find a way to increase his cultivation speed, Zhang Bao called out to him and informed him that a way to get stronger faster was to drink monster blood. The higher-ups of Linhan Base had opened a wild zone outside the city for an exam, and the prize is monster blood. Ye Tian then applied for the exam, and the teacher questioned him on why he applied without receiving any invitation and if someone had leaked the news. Ye Tian avoided the question and stated that he was qualified based on his martial presence. The teacher angrily threw a paper at him, which turned out to be a life responsibility agreement contract. Teacher then told him to sign the contract if he wanted to take the exam. Ye Tian signed the contract and left. Meanwhile, Ye Yu wakes up and notices the food on the table that Ye Tian had cooked. There is a note stating that he will be at school for 3 days for an event, but she worries about his safety. Ye Tian arrives at the wild zone where students from 5 major academies are present. One of them is insulting the 5th academy, calling it garbage, and the person next to him suggested that they could hunt humans as they were weaklings. Zhang Bao informs Ye Tian that the arrogant guy's name is Mo Xiaobei, a genius from the 1st academy and the strongest of his generation. Then, another guy appears and challenges Mo Xiaobei. The guy's name is Li Yunxiang, a genius swordsman from the 2nd academy who has been defeated by Mo Xiaobei in the past. The teacher then scolds Ye Tian instead of the guys who are fighting. Pissed off, Ye Tian cheers for Li Yunxiang, which makes the guy feel awkward. An announcement is made that fighting is not allowed in the wild zone, and anyone who does so will be disqualified from the exam. Li Yunxiang stops fighting and retreats. He then approaches Ye Tian and asks for his name. As Ye Tian introduces himself, he analyzes Li Yunxiang's stats and notices that his sword talent is mid-tier. He then reaches out his hand for a handshake, wishing him good luck. Li Yunxiang accepts the handshake, resulting in Ye Tian copying his talent. As the exam begins, everyone rushes into the wild zone, but Ye Tian finds a safe place to fuse the sword talent he had copied earlier. He feels immense pain during the process, but he is slowly getting used to it. After completing the fusion, he tries out his new talent by slashing a tree, easily cutting it. He then returns to the wild zone and is attacked by a big snake, but he easily manages to defeat it using his new sword talent and collects its eyes, which are considered points. The more he defeats and collects, the higher his rank and prize. While wandering, he sees Zhang Bao being attacked by monsters and quickly shoots them with his bow. Zhang Bao tells him to run as the monsters are too strong. However, Ye Tian ignores him and uses his sword talent and speed talent to easily defeat the pack of monsters, surprising Zhang Bao. Ye Tian collects the monster's teeth for points and asks Zhang Bao if he will continue. Zhang Bao replies that he won't and will be giving up the exam because it's too dangerous and all of his teammates are badly injured. He also advises Ye Tian to be careful, as the 1st Academy students have spotted pseudo-monsters that are stronger than fierce monsters and are worth a maximum of 500 points. Hearing the number, Ye Tian asks him for directions, to which Zhang Bao replies that it's in the south. Ye Tian rushes to that area, hoping to secure the first spot by obtaining 500 points. Upon reaching the area, he comes across the corpses of many 1st Academy students and sees the pseudo-monster being attacked by Mo Xiaobei and his team. After multiple attacks, they exhaust the monster, and Mo Xiaobei inflicts a fatal blow to its head, but gets hit by the monster's tail. Thinking that the monster is dead, he starts to celebrate, but suddenly, it wakes up and uses an ability called Blood Thrust before running away. Some students hesitate to follow it as it could be stronger than it seems, but Mo Xiaobei informs everyone that the monster is worth 1,000 points, and their attacks have made it extremely vulnerable. Hearing that the monster is worth 1,000 points, Ye Tian unleashes his maximum speed power to reach it before anyone else. Upon reaching the monster's whereabouts, he sees that it is drinking water from a stalactite stone. Believing the stone to be abnormal, he quickly rushes towards the monster, but it counterattacks so swiftly that he barely manages to dodge. He then shoots multiple arrows at it, and uses his sword to stab the monster and drag the blade across its body, causing its demise. Curious about the stone, he places a bottle under it to collect the water, suspecting it may be some kind of treasure. He then extracts the monster's blood and its eyeball. As the bottle finishes collecting water and having no clue what the stone is, he uses his sword to cut it off and takes it. Having collected enough points to put him in first place, Ye Tian decides to leave. Mo Xiaobei arrives and his subordinate informs him of what's missing, making him furious about who stole his points. He orders everyone to look for the thief, while Ye Tian continues to hide. He realizes that he can't hide forever, because when the exam ends, everyone will find out that he killed the monster. So he decides to cultivate and grow stronger as quickly as possible during the remaining time. He then drinks the monster blood, despite its bad taste, and is shocked as his cultivation speed increases fourfold. 3 days later, the exam ended and everyone started giving their points to the teacher, including Li Yongxing, who collected 195 points, while Mo Xiaobei collected 427 points, which shocked everyone. However, Li Yongxing accused him of stealing points from others, which he denied. They were about to conclude that those who didn't come out had probably died, when suddenly Ye Tian arrived and handed over his points to the teacher. After analyzing the points, she announced that the total score is 1,163 points, placing Ye Tian in first place and earning him the prize. Everyone cheered for him, but Mo Xiaobei ordered his subordinates to check Ye Tian's background. As they stood for a photo shoot, Mo Xiaobei questioned Ye Tian, asking how he dared steal his points and if he was capable of defeating him. Ye Tian replied that he was ready at any time. Realizing that he had offended the Mo family, and the only way to escape them was to become stronger. Later, he went home and received a hug from Ye Yu, who asked if he was okay, to which he replied that he is, and that he had brought gifts for her. She asked about the bottle, and he explained that he didn't know what it contained, and that's why he bought a treasure book to identify it, and discovered that the stone is a treasure that produced a liquid capable of improving one's cultivation. Ye Yu then handed the bottle to him, learning that it could increase cultivation, but he declined and told her to drink it instead. She refused, as she had not even awakened yet, and advised him to sell it. However, Ye Tian informed her that selling such a treasure could lead to his death. He then took the bottle and forcefully made Ye Yu drink it, but he was disappointed to see that her talent didn't improve at all. Suddenly she felt sleepy and went to sleep, while Ye Tian began cultivating. After an hour, he sensed a strong presence beside him and noticed that Ye Yu's talent had increased by 2 ranks. Ye Tian realized that Ye Yu would become a top-level martial warrior in the future, as she now possessed medium-level cultivation and a rare ice talent. He then went to his room, drank a bottle of blood, and began cultivating. This time his cultivation improved 8-fold, although he could have reached the martial warrior stage within a month. Unfortunately, he only had 2 bottles remaining. The next day, as Ye Tian was cultivating, he was interrupted by Zhang Bao, who informed him that Mo Xiaobei had entered closed-door training to become a martial warrior in a month and might attack him. Although Ye Tian had already used all his resources and still hadn't become a martial warrior, he was confident in his ability to battle one with his speed and sword talent. 1 month later, Mo Xiaobei had become a martial warrior, and his father came to see his son's success. Mo Xiaobei promised his father that he would never embarrass the Mo family again, which his father accepted. He then told his servant to prepare food for him, and he left. Mo Xiaobei asked his servant about Ye Tian, to which he informed him that Ye Tian is an orphan and has no powerful backers. Mo Xiaobei then instructed his servant to send a shadow assassin to kill Ye Tian. The servant questioned whether it was worth it, as they would need to spend at least $1 million. Mo Xiaobei informed him that the Mo family had always been killing the geniuses among the poor, in order to rule over them and make them their slaves. Meanwhile, Ye Tian finished his training for the day and was heading home when he suddenly felt a presence around him. He used his system to analyze and learned that someone named Li Kun was near him. The man attacked Ye Tian, but he easily dodged the attack. The man was using shadow talents to hide and attack, but Ye Tian was able to spot him using the system's stats and deliver a fatal blow. Ye Tian asked who had sent him, but the man didn't reply and rushed to attack again. However, he was easily defeated, and before dying he revealed Mo Xiaobei's name. Ye Tian then copied the man's shadow talent and fused it. He now has 4 talents. He buried the body in the mountains and went home. After taking a shower, he checked the loot from the shadow assassin. Among them was a magical dagger, some money and cards, and a bronze-level shadow dagger book. As he was reading it, he realized that Ye Yu hadn't returned yet and rushed towards her school, suspecting that Mo Xiaobei could be behind it. When he arrived in front of the school, someone from behind told him not to move. Ye Tian quickly used his speed talent to turn around and see that it was Ye Yu. She explained that she was late because of her cleaning duty. Ye Tian then noticed a black car following them, and in that car was Mo Xiaobei, wondering why Ye Tian wasn't dead. The next day, Ye Tian went to Ye Yu's school and noticed that the car was still there. As the car left, he used his new shadow talent to stealthily follow it to a place where Mo Xiaobei was beating someone up for loan money. He then asked his servant about any news from the shadow assassin, and if they had found a way to deal with Ye Tian and his sister. The servant replied that they hadn't, and was punished by Mo Xiaobei. Confirming that Mo Xiaobei had sent the assassin, Ye Tian used his dagger to stealthily attack from behind and easily assassinate him and all of his subordinates. He then left a handkerchief with the word "shadow" written on it. 1 hour later, Mo Xiaobei's father arrives at the scene and finds his son's corpse. Then his servant informs him that the culprit is probably a shadow assassin, as they found a handkerchief with the word "shadow" written on it. Just then, their great elder, a highly ranked warrior, arrives. Mo Xiaobei's father explains the situation and begs the great elder to avenge his son. He hands over the handkerchief to the elder, who goes outside and places it under the sun. There, he sees a symbol that he instantly recognizes as the Iron Fang. In the night, Ye Tian packs his bag and gets ready to leave for training in the wild zone. However, he is stopped by Ye Yu. He informs her that he is leaving to train, and then she quickly hugs him, reluctant to let him go, and worries about his safety. He assures her that he will be safe and promises to return soon. As he wanders around the wild zone, he notices a monster and checks its stats. He discovers that it has a low-tier defense talent. Ye Tian rushes towards the monster to attack it using his sword, but fails as the monster uses its defense talent to create a barrier. He then utilizes his speed talent to dodge the monster's attacks and attempts to stab its eye using his dagger, but it breaks, and he is sent flying by the monster's punch. Although he wants to acquire the defense talent through his copying ability, it is on cooldown. Ye Tian decides to sneakily attack the monster using his shadow talent. Although the monster cannot detect his movements, he still can't attack it due to the thickness of the barrier. However, he notices a weak spot and attacks it, causing the monster's demise. Then he collected its blood, horn, and skin. He then went to a cave, drank the monster's blood, and started cultivating. He cultivated for 20 days straight until he finally broke through to the martial warrior realm, causing a huge explosion that caught the interest of 2 girls. As 20 days passed, he decided to check on the monster's corpse to see if he could copy its talent. However, he learned that he couldn't, as the monster had been dead for 20 days. One of the girls suspected that Ye Tian had killed the monster, but the other girl argued that it wasn't possible, since he had just broken through to the martial warrior realm recently. Ye Tian arrived at the martial marketplace, where he saw the 2 girls. He mistook one of them for his sister, as she looked exactly like Ye Yu. He checked her stats, and learned that her name is Yue Ling, and she has high-tier cultivation talent. The girl with yellow hair shouted at Ye Tian for calling Yue Ling his sister. However, Yue Ling told her to stop and whisper something to her. The girl, Xiao Yu, then apologized to Ye Tian, and to show the sincerity of her apology, she offered to buy anything he sold in their martial pavilion for double the price. She then took him to their pavilion and served him tea. While he was drinking tea, Xiao Yu informed him that the loot he bought was worth 40,000 yuan. He quickly agreed to sell them and received the payment. She also told him that he could buy anything at a 50% discount, so he purchased some cultivation resources. As he was leaving, Xiao Yu stopped him and said that the pavilion's manager, Yue Ling, wanted to meet him, to which he agreed. She introduced herself and reached out her hand for a handshake, which he accepted and copied her high-tier talent while introducing himself. She then invited him to join their pavilion. Although it is a good offer, he is hesitant to join an organization, as it would mean being bound, and his special ability could be revealed. Yue Ling told him that he could observe them as much as he wanted, and then give a response regarding whether or not he would join, to which he agreed. After leaving the pavilion, he went to a roof and fused the talent he copied from Yue Ling. Later, he went home and received a hug from Ye Yu. He then informed her that he had reached the martial warrior level, which made her really happy, as now the Ye family had a martial warrior. Ye Tian believed that Ye Yu would also become a martial warrior in the future. She then asked Ye Tian to let her cut his hair, to which he agreed, reminiscing about the past when he asked Ye Yu to cut his hair after he was beaten and received an injury to his head. Ye Yu then mentioned that if only Ye Tian had the immortal jellyfish healing ability she read about in a book. Ye Tian disagreed, saying that it wasn't real, but Ye Yu argued that it was. Ye Tian promised her that when he awakened his abilities, he might gain the immortal jellyfish healing ability and wouldn't get injured anymore. Remembering the jellyfish, Ye Tian quickly took out the treasure book and looked for information about the immortal jellyfish. It stated that it was a water-type monster, and its location was in the Lake of Death. He then planned to copy the monster's talent. After finishing his haircut, Ye Tian started to cultivate by drinking blood, and because of the high-tier talent he had copied, it became more efficient. After completing his cultivation, he went to the Martial Pavilion and bought a map of the Lake of Death from Xiao Yu, so he could find the immortal jellyfish quickly and copy its talent. While Xiao Yu was worried about him, as she was once told by Yue Ling that the Lake of Death was a very dangerous place, and even elite martial warriors struggled to survive, she hoped that nothing would happen to Ye Tian.